you'll see all kinds of videos of people telling you, oh, if you want to make money, you do this, you get up early, you work late, whatever it might be. I'm gonna actually show you what it means to excel at something, to do good at something. So, for example, with my business, I'm at a point right now where, I got to have a big month, and things have been up and down, and part of it's because of me, because I was distracted, and that's how business goes. When you're running business for a long time, things go up and down, and you might have people working for you, and you might just kind of it. Despite what you see on TV, like the Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezos and these big time guys, they have thousands of people work for them. When you're a smaller company and you got people working for you, if you're not on top of everything, they won't work. Okay, and that's not an insult to anyone. That's just how it is. I mean, think about when we work jobs. If the boss is not there, the boss not you know pushing us, we're slacking. Okay, and that's life. It's nothing to get upset about. But you know, I realize, I'm like, okay, well, things have been slipping for me a little bit lately. I haven't been on top of everything, so I got to get back on top of it. So what does that mean? It means, for me, I don't get up early. Well, let me preface that. I don't get up and work early. I get up early. I get up at 6 a.m. every day because I got to get my kids up, get them off to school, and all that. And so me and my wife are up early, and I get to my office about anywhere between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning. Okay, but I'll work late into the night. Many nights. Many nights out of the week. Most nights out of the week. And excuse me. And tonight's like currently this month is one of those times where I'm like, all right, well, I gotta hit it hard, and I gotta go aggressively. I gotta go fast, and I've got to. And when I say aggressively, I don't mean like in a negative way, like I'm hounding people or anything like that. But I mean I gotta just do more. So, for example, what's doing more mean? It means I'm making my phone calls during the day, my 250 phone calls, and I'm calling, you know, current customers. I'm calling past customers. I'm calling people I've talked to before, people I've never talked to before. I'm calling people who've referred people. You know, anyone and everyone, right? But at night, what I'm doing is I'm taking care of orders that maybe weren't shipped that day. I'm taking care of some orders. I'm sending out mailings to people, and people say, "Oh, mailings don't work." Here's a secret. I'll tell you. Anyone who's in business, try this. Okay, I'll tell you a secret. People say, "Well, mailing doesn't work anymore because everyone does email." Think about that for a second. Okay, there's also a saying in business, and I don't know how the saying goes, but it's. I think Warren Buffett, like these big time guys, have been quote over the years saying something about, and I'm just gonna screw up the quote. I'm gonna screw it up, but it's something like, well, what they say is like Warren Buffett will say, when everyone's buying, you sell. When everyone's selling, you buy. Do the opposite. So if you think about it, it's like if no one's sending actual mail in the mail, everyone's doing email. Do the opposite, right? So of course I send emails. Of course I communicate through, like almost all my customers are through email and phone, and of course, right? But here's the thing. But I also send old-fashioned mail because what do people typically get in the mail now? Like, what do you get in the mail? You get bills and junk mail, right? So if you send something creative, interesting, it gets noticed because they're not getting that stuff. And when I say creative and interesting, um, in another video, I'll show you more specifically. I don't have anything handy to show you, but I'll send something like interesting. Like, I'll send it. I probably shouldn't even tell you this because this is stuff that I do in my business, right? I really don't want people to copy it because it works, right? And, but I'll send stuff in like a clear envelope. I'll send like maybe a $5 Starbucks card in a clear envelope because you don't want to send it in a white envelope because then it gets thrown away. But if it's in a clear envelope, you see the Starbucks gift card, and I'll send a $5, $10 gift card, and especially like a $5 card. It's I mean it costs next to nothing, and a stamp on a envelope is what, 50 cents or a dollar, whatever it is, and so to send something for $6 that has such a huge impact because people don't get that in the mail. I say this all the time. I'll talk to people and I'll say all the time, and I've been in business for, I don't know, 25 years now. And am I the biggest consumer or the biggest business? No, and I never have been, right? But, but I still do a lot of business. I spend a lot of money each year. Am I Microsoft? Am I Amazon? No, of course not. Am I even in the same breath as those guys? No, not at all. But I still spend a lot of money in business, right? And the reason I say this is, how many times have I gotten like a gift or anything special from one of my suppliers, someone I do business with, and then I can remember it was one time. It was one time. I went to a trade show. It was in Las Vegas, and they gave me I think it was a $10 casino chip. That's it. I still remember it to this day. I still remember it, and that was back probably because they don't even do in my industry, they don't even do the trade shows well, they probably do, but it's not like very specified. It's more like general. And so this is back probably in 2000. I'm not even going to bore you with when it was. I mean, it was 20 years ago. And that's the only thing I got. So a $10 casino chip, and I thought that was so cool. I thought that was actually really cool. And so no one sends stuff, but it's interesting because when you read about, and here's something you should be doing, and we're gonna wrap up this video here because I got to get back to work. I'm gonna get back to work for the rest of the night and keep working. Most people, what you should be doing is you should be reading a lot, and reading a lot, not BS books of like, well, you could read BS books too, but I mean, you don't want to. Well, there's different levels of reading, and I don't like to ever insult, because I'm a big reader. I don't like to ever insult anyone's whatever they read. I'm not going to insult, because if you're reading, that's a good thing, and that's your personal opinion. But from my point of view, excuse me, I don't read a whole lot of like what's a book like that, like books like how to set goals, or like basic books. I'm trying to think of like something that's at the bookstore, now. And I can't even think of something real general, something real basic. But what you should be reading is stuff written by billionaires, or stuff more specifically about the most successful people. And because a lot of times when a guy writes, like for example, I know Bill Gates has got a book out right now. Despite what you think of him, because he's got a lot of issues going on right now, right? And I personally don't like Bill Gates, but I think there's stuff you can learn from him, stuff he's done over the years in his business. But here's the thing: he wrote a book. Is he ever going to tell you all the anything bad? No. So it's like, to read a book about him, from him, not so much. But there is an interesting book about him that was written years ago. It was called God, what the hell was it called? It was called. I'll think of it, and I'll do it in another video, or if you comment, I'll look it up, and it's probably on one of my bookshelves here, and that will tell you a lot of interesting stuff of how he really operated early on in his career, and some of the characteristics that got him really successful, and that's the stuff you should be reading. You should be reading that stuff and figuring out what these guys do, because are you ever going to become a billionaire? Am I ever going to become a billionaire? Me? No. No, I won't. Are you? I don't know. Probably not. But here's the thing. Could you become very successful? Whatever success is for you? Yeah, you could. And the thing is, for me, and we're going to wrap it at this, I've got no special skills, no special talents, no, family, money, connections, any of that, right? And if anything, I've had a lot of things going against me, and I'm not in a complaining way. Just I've screwed up a lot. Like I'm just not a very smart person. Right? I'm not. I can tell you this. Like as I get older, I realize that I've just done so many dumb things over the years, and I've messed up so many times that I do realize that I have no special talent, no special skills at all. But what I have done over the years is I've read all these books about these billionaires, David Geffen and Bill Gates, and I've read about Steven Schwartzman, and I've read about, I mean, you name it, Thomas Edison, and God, I'm just trying to glance at my bookshelf, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can barely see, you know. But I've read about all these guys, and what I've done in each of the books, you know, is I'll say, okay, well, this guy works late into the night, so I'll do that. Well, what do I do late into the night? Well, now I've got stuff I specifically do, but when I was just starting, it's like I didn't know what to do, so I work late into the night. I didn't know what to do. I just do something, but I work late into the night. Well, this guy works, so and so works, does this or has this habit. So I just kind of adapted these habits over the years of like, you know, something David Geffen does, something Bill Gates does, something Steven Schwartzman does, something Roland Elmell does, whatever, whoever it might be. And I just kind of, and not that I'm perfect, because of course I'm not, and I mess up, but I've just adapted, I've adopted a lot of these habits over the years, and then all of a sudden it just starts adding up to something. So all of a sudden it's like, maybe you make a little bit more, today or this week, and then all of a sudden you make a bit more this month or this year, and it just starts adding up. And then when you stretch that over, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, all of a sudden now you're farther ahead than a lot of people around you, and you're farther ahead than you would have been otherwise. And we'll wrap it at that, guys. I'm cooked right now. All right, but I gotta get back to work.